Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Unity Clear Lake Center in Lower Lake. Um, of course, I see we're all muted, getting ready. We're getting ready now to welcome uh, Reverend, no, Dr. Will Tuttle. He's a Reverend too, but anyway, Dr. Will Tuttle. And he's going to talk today, and he's an acclaimed composer, pianist, and educator. So now let's just close our eyes as he presents a musical meditation for us.
Great. Thank you so much, Barbara. Welcome everyone to the Unity here in Lake County in Clear Lake. And I'll go ahead and play a piece of original music. This is called Song of the Caring Earth. And I think when we think of mother, we think of our mothers. We think of the mothers of all the different beings. We also think of Mother Earth, I think. And I have a second camera that I'd like to go ahead and use for this so you can see my fingers as I'm playing. I'm sitting here at a grand piano here at our home in Lake County. And so here we go. This is Song of the Caring Earth. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. That was beautiful, gorgeous. Um, at this time, then, I would like to read to you the invocation affirmation that I want you to really think about it because this is who we are. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. Then there is only one presence, one power active in Unity Clear Lake Center, God, the good, omnipotent. And finally, there is only one presence and one power active in our world, God, the good, omnipotent. And the basic foundation of unity is these 5 basic ideas. The first one, God is absolute good, everywhere present. And then human beings have a spark of spirit within them, the Christ consciousness within. Therefore, they are inherently good. And then human beings create their experience by the activity of their thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Number 4 is prayer is the process that affirms our connection with God mind and brings forth wisdom, healing, and everything good. But finally, knowing and understanding universal laws, also called truth, a person must also live the truth that he or she knows. And so now, Will is going to play some more beautiful music leading into his talk, honoring the Divine Mother within. So I now give the service over to Will.
Great. Thank you so much, Barbara. And I'd like to go ahead and do a meditation together to start out with. So let's turn our attention within, and we'll have a meditation together. So with every exhalation now, just letting go of any thoughts of the past or the future. And allowing ourselves to relax into this present moment, this precious moment, the only holy moment is right now. This moment, as we breathe together, opening our hearts to the feeling of gratitude, to the truth of our unity with the infinite love that is the source of our life, the source of all life. We give thanks for all expressions of life, knowing that every living being is an expression of the infinite intelligence and creative power and love and abundant wisdom of this universe. So we give thanks for this precious opportunity of a human life. We give thanks for the beautiful being who is our mother, sending her right now our love and our appreciation, our gratitude for bringing us into this world. We give thanks for the mothering principle of compassion and kindness that nurtures all life here on this planet. It also represents our inner intuitive wisdom, the divine feminine power of knowing directly through being receptive. So we give thanks to all of the spiritual teachings of all the world's traditions that turn our minds away from the delusion of separateness to the truth of the infinite interconnectedness of all life. We give thanks for all of the teachers in our life. All of the precious teachings and teachers, and also the community of spiritual aspirants, this unity community, and the whole interconnected web of life, and the whole human family on the great adventure of awakening to our true nature. And we give thanks for all of the animals of this earth, the whole web of life here, the great celebration of all the animals in the air and in the waters, on the earth, the beauty and abundance of abilities, perspectives, and savoring every moment. And we know that the light that shines at the very heart of the universe is shining right now in our heart, and shining in every cell of our being, bringing every dimension of our life into alignment with the truth that we are. Bringing our physical body into harmony with the truth of vitality and freedom in all of our affairs, into alignment with our purpose, the purpose that we are born on this earth to fulfill. And so we just allow the music now for a moment to deepen our connection to our purpose and to the truth that we are, the unique being that we are. So as we gather now in consciousness on this beautiful Mother's Day in the year 2025, from the silence of the very center of our being, we send forth a wish that we ourselves may always embody the mother principle of compassion for all living beings, of understanding and of love, of caring. We send forth our wish that all beings be happy and at peace and free. May we all continue our awakening to the truth that we are, and continue working together to build a more enlightened society, a world that reflects the truth of the inner Christ spirit shining always in our hearts, building together a world that cares for everyone, through the power and through the presence of the infinite spirit of truth and love. We give thanks, knowing this is so, and so it is. Thank you, everyone, for joining with us in the meditation. And I'd like to play a piece. I think I'll play a piece before we go on to the talk. And I think I'll play a piece that reflects the mother principle. And this is one that is called The Garden, Le Jardin, in French. And the melody came to me many years ago when I was in the Ukraine. And there's been a lot of conflict there, but I think as we think of this beautiful country, such a beautiful, rich farmland and beautiful people, and the problems, of course, that they have, we can send them our love, the mothering principle of kindness and caring to them and to everyone on this beautiful earth, that we learn to live together in harmony and peace. So this is a piece that came to me, I remember, in Cherkasy, near the Dnieper River in Ukraine, probably way back in 1991, I think it was. Enjoy. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in our music. And so I'd like to talk a little bit now about Mother's Day and honoring the Divine Mother within, the sacred feminine capacity that is within all of us as the power to be receptive to our true nature and to the source of our life. And so the basic idea in spirituality in general, I think in all the world religions, is that as long as we're under the delusion that we're this fundamentally separate self that is in a relationship with an outside world that is somewhat dangerous, and we have to either try to get what we want or keep away what we don't want, we're in this continual struggle against not only the nature but each other, and manipulating each other and trying to do the best we can to get through life and so forth. And we end up creating enormous suffering for ourselves and others. And so the opposite of that in many ways is the mother principle. When you think of a mother, she's given birth to this little being through her body, and then it's not just that action, which is quite a huge work on her part to do, but then the real work begins. Then you've got this little being, and taking care and loving and so forth, and teaching, all of those things. But the whole idea is that it's done in this capacity that we all have within us of unconditionally protecting and caring and kindly nurturing. And without that loving presence, all of us would not be healthy. None of us would be healthy physically. We wouldn't even survive really as little babies without that mothering. And if we didn't get it, we're going to be psychologically unhealthy as well as physically. So that mothering gift is such a precious thing. And in fact, for example, in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, the word Lama, we all know this Lama, like the Dalai Lama and many other high lamas, their spirit. Lama means spiritual teacher, but it literally means, La means precious and Ma means mother. So even though a lot of them are men, most of them are men actually, but they're called precious mother. So the idea is that this is the most honorable thing, and we have in the Christian tradition, of course, Mother Mary and this worshiping of the mother principle, and trying to understand that, fulfill that, and to cultivate that really within ourselves. And so I'd like to share a few poems and a few thoughts with you about this. And so I have here the one of the original poems that led to the founding of Mother's Day. And Mother's Day itself was started pretty much by this woman named Anna Jarvis in West Virginia in the early 1900s, 1907, 1908. And she really wanted to have a holiday that would commemorate the love of mothers and how important that is. And she was also very deeply influenced by and a colleague of Julia Ward Howe, who is famous for writing the Battle Hymn of the Republic during the Civil War and after the Civil War. And so these women and many other women at the same time were really part of a peace movement. They didn't want mothers to have to suffer the pain of having sending their sons off to war to kill the sons of other mothers, right? That idea that mothers should do what we can to protect our sons. So I'll just read a little bit of that poem. This was written by Julia Ward Howe in 1870. So this is quite a bit. It took 35 years before the momentum built up enough to actually, President Woodrow Wilson actually signed a proclamation and said, yes, we'll have Mother's Day. And now it's pretty much an international holiday, usually on the second Monday of May, all over the world. So the beginning of the poem is like this. Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether our baptism be of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons will not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them. of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. And then the poem goes on. I won't read the whole thing, but at the very end she says, "In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a general Congress of women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objects, to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, and the great and general interests of peace." So it's really a pro-peace holiday in many ways. It's peace in the family, peace in the community, peace between nations, and really peace within ourselves, because it's this capacity that we have to be receptive internally that gives rise, this is the feminine capacity, to understanding our true nature as expressions of the Christ, as we call it in the unity tradition. The Christ is the infinite and eternal consciousness that is our true nature. So the whole idea is to somehow evolve beyond the delusion that we're taught in our society, really, that we're separate things, that we're separate objects, that we were born and we will die. That rather that what we are is infinite and eternal consciousness that was never born and will never die. And so it's this is the Christ, the infinite eternal wisdom, that our body is a manifestation of that for a few decades here. But what we are is invisible. What we are is incorporeal. What we are is spiritual. The matter, the material level, is the level of appearances. And that's, of course, important to understand and to do the best we can to act in ways that are responsible and take responsibility for the quality of our health, the quality of our consciousness, the quality of our relationships. And the best way to do that is to understand the spiritual dimension. I have a new book out, actually. It's called The World Peace Way, 6 Keys to Health and Harmony for All. And the whole idea in the World Peace Way is that there are actual things we can do: how we eat, how we relate, how we meditate, how we exercise and move, how we are creative, how we connect with nature. We have actual ways of living that we can foster and develop within ourselves that will bring us into harmony with the vitality and the truth that are our true nature. And it's through this feminine principle of being receptive to the inner wisdom that's within us, rather than thinking, oh, it's the outside experts that I have to do whatever they say. That very often gets us into trouble, because very often the outside experts have been trained in systems of thinking and ways of being that are not in harmony with our true nature. So the teachings of Jesus and I think of all the great wisdom teachers on this planet, the Buddha and many others, point us in the direction of that the inner teacher is within. The teacher and the guidance is within. And that's the feminine capacity to be receptive, to connect with grace, the gift that we get. And I think we get a lot of inspiration for this. We can actually from animals. So I have a couple of little stories I want to read about animals, because I think we can see this sometimes better in animals than we can see it in ourselves. So this is a story. This is a true story. And I'll just read it. It's not very long. This took place in the arid desert region of the Qinghai province in China, very dry areas, like the Gobi Desert area. The officials in the area impose a strict daily ration of 3 kilos of water for each person, and residents have to rely on long-distance transport of water by the local army unit. Under these circumstances, one can well imagine the tragic condition in which animals may find themselves. One day, an old cow broke away from her halter and got into the middle of the only road in the desert on which the water trucks had to pass. As the minutes ticked by, and just as the local people were beginning to wonder what had happened to the old cow, a water truck arrived. The cow suddenly charged in front of the truck, forcing it to a stop. Then the cow stared quietly at the truck while the driver tried futilely to chase her away. This went on for quite a while. The soldiers transporting the water had encountered this kind of situation before, but never to the extent of holding up traffic. It was different this time. Drivers caught in the traffic jam cursed, and some impatient ones tried to scare the stubborn old cow away with sticks and with fire, but she remained undaunted. Next, the cow's owner arrived and whipped the poor thin cow, tearing her skin open, but the cow refused to get out of the way. The heartrending whines of the old cow sounded so tragic that the soldiers and some of the drivers were moved to tears. At last the soldier said, "Let me break the rule for once. I am ready to accept a penalty for this." He took a basin of water from the truck, 1.5 kilos, and placed it in front of the cow. But to everyone's surprise, the cow did not touch the water. Then the cow looked toward the setting sun and mooed. In a short while, a little calf came running from behind a pile of sand. The wounded old cow looked lovingly at the calf until the calf had finished drinking the water. With tears in their eyes, the mother cow and the calf licked each other's eyes, silently expressing their love for each other. Then, before anyone had to drive them away, they left on their own. So that's I think, a really beautiful story that someone reported from an old cow in China. And I think that's not, it's heart touching though, but I think we understand that feeling that we have, that there's within us this love that will suffer for another. And I also, when I was camping up in the Sierras by myself a few years ago, I had kind of an interesting experience with another mother. And I think I have time. I'll just read this. This is a poem I wrote, actually, about it. So this is how it goes. It's called Mother Mouse, a little mother mouse. On a solo meditation retreat high in the Tahoe wilderness, the third night in my little tent, I hear scratching sounds coming from my backpack, hanging on a nearby ponderosa pine. Check watch, 1:15 a.m., and put on headband flashlight. Unzip the tent door, and yes, there it is again, scurrying sounds in the pack. Maybe one of those many squirrels around here. Concerned about their sharp teeth, I shake it and open the top and command, "Come on out." But nothing happens. So I pull the pack off the tree and turn it upside down. Everything comes tumbling out, but no little creature. And curiously, a single paper napkin has been chewed into hundreds of tiny pieces, like snow fluttering to the pine-strewn earth. Then I see her, a little mouse, still clinging on inside, and so I shake once more. Out she tumbles to the ground and scurries off into the darkness. Checking the pack, I see the front pocket had been filled with mouse confetti. It's all cleared out, so I put everything back in. The food is in plastic and glass jars, and everything is fine. Looking again now on the ground more closely, I suddenly see a worm-like creature, quite revolting looking, dark grayish brown, wrapped in a tight membrane with sealed shut eyes. My gosh, a just-born tiny mouse. There's another, and another, and another, 4 in all, strewn about among the tissue paper of their former nest, shivering and helpless in the cold. Just then, Mama Mouse returns and walks right up to a 5th little neonate I hadn't seen. She's right in the bright field of my headlamp, just 3 feet away, her brave dark eyes focused on her only task. She picks up the little one in her front paws and raises him delicately to her mouth. After a few seconds, he's secured. She turns and runs off with him into the night. I realize this is the only way to save them. So I turn off my light, head into the tent, zip it up, and lie down again. When morning comes, I step carefully out, and yes, sure enough, Mother Mouse has taken all 5 babies away, And she's even taken most of the tissue paper nesting as well. I send her love and apologize and wish her family well. Soon I'll be packing up to leave. But I've been inspired by the caring and the courage of Mother Mouse. So that was a little experience. That was an experience I had a few years ago. And I think, again, there's something that we can learn always about this adventure we have of a human life. It's very brief. We're just here for a few short decades, and it goes by quickly. And that's one of the things that I sometimes like to remember when they interviewed a while ago the oldest living human being, a woman from Japan was 119 years old. And they said, "So what's it like to be 119 years old?" And she thought for a minute and she said, "All I can say is it went by very quickly." And so I think it's a lot of wisdom in that. It goes by very quickly, and all of us will be reaching that point. It's absolutely inevitable when we leave this physical body. And what will matter at that point is how we lived our lives, how we were able to unfold the gifts that we are here to unfold, and how we were able to perhaps relieve the suffering of others, to be a light of loving kindness in the world, and to be a giver rather than just trying to get for ourselves. And I think this is really the epitome of what motherhood is all about, the underlying um, posture of giving and caring and kindness. And this comes, I think, naturally to us wherever, we're all, I think, in a certain way, we're all mothers. We can be physical mothers, of course, and mothers and grandmothers and aunts, but also the males of our species. We can be mothers also. And whether we have children or not, the way we treat each other, the way we treat animals, the way we treat the earth, the way we treat future generations, all are depending on us. And it's this mother principle of caring that brings peace and freedom and sustainability and harmony into our world. And I think it's very difficult for this motherliness to emerge in us without doing some inner work, without doing like the practice of uncovering our true nature. Because otherwise, we have this feeling of being a separate self, and we always want to get something in return. We're giving, but then we want to get something back later, because, and that's a kind of a poison. So the whole idea, I think, in a sense, with motherhood, is this capacity that we have as we grow spiritually to realize that the greatest joy, as Kahil Gibran says, of the flower is to give forth its fragrance, and to let the bee come and um, do the magic of pollination. That whole idea is of just giving and being open, and then that is what allows the uh, evolution, really, in many ways, in a positive sense, of not only of our own spiritual growth, but of our society. So I want to thank all of you. I know that each one of us, if we got here onto this recording or onto this call, we have had our unique adventure here, and we've been drawn to the Unity teachings, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And Madeline and I have been to Unity Village, and there's really a very powerful sense of motherliness there also at Unity Village in outside Kansas City, Missouri. Myrtle Fillmore, people call her Mother Myrtle. And, she was just an extremely, not only spiritual, but very loving, a receptive person. There's the Myrtle Fillmore Grove, a grove of trees where she would meditate. And people like to go there and meditate like she did, 100 years ago. And the whole place, it's huge. It's probably over 1,000 acres of land. And most of the land is a wildlife sanctuary. They have two lakes and trails. And then there's the light, there's the Unity prayer ministry, the light that never goes off, it's always on. And people are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, open and just receiving any prayers, any requests, any problems that people are having. They can always call the Unity prayer line, and someone will be there to remind our consciousness of the truth that what we are is a manifestation of the infinite love that is the source of all life. And to get the bigger picture, right behind me are two of Madeline's paintings. And I think that also reminds us of the creativity and the beauty and the harmony of nature, of the animal world in general, and of our world, the human world, and that each one of us has creative gifts to bring forth. They can be something big like being a musician or an artist, but they can also be something like just giving a smile to someone when we check out at the grocery store. That's creative, right? We're helping to create a positive environment for other people, and it can really help. So all of us have opportunities every day in our interactions with each other through the computer or through directly seeing each other to plant these seeds like Myrtle and Charles Fillmore did, years ago, by understanding what the power of prayer actually is. Prayer, in the old original word in Aramaic, means to be open like a trap. So again, this openness, that's really the feminine capacity. It's not asking for something and saying, you better do this. It's the opposite of that. It's listening, this feminine capacity. This is really the inner feminine capacity that I think underlies this honoring of the mother. When we develop that within ourselves, then we can hear the, uh, the the cries of others. And I'll just close with this idea of from the Asian tradition of Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is the manifestation of compassion and kindness. And it's very interesting because Kuan Yin is basically feminine, but it's a manifestation of Avalokiteshvara, who's the great uh, male bodhisattva of compassion. And so it's bringing the male and female together in Kuan Yin. So the male has the capacity to act. The yang is the active power, and the yin is the receptive power. And so a mother is receptive, has that power of being receptive, but out of that comes the capacity to act. So the mother is not merely uh, being kind and compassionate, she also gets up and does something, right? If she sees the little kid falling into the pool, she doesn't just send compassion to the kid. She gets up and like pulls him out of the pool. So, this is the whole idea: is that we have the capacity not only to be kind and loving, but to act, to bring this, to be the hands and the voice for those who need our help. And that means listening. So very often Kuan Yin has an ear, her hand up to her ear, and she is the one who hears the cries of the world. And I think this is really important, that we be willing to open our minds and hearts to hear the cries of the world, to hear the cries of the animals who are suffering, the humans who are suffering, and to do whatever we can to relieve their suffering. This is the best thing in a human life, and it goes by quickly. So, again, I want to thank all of you for hearing the call and hearing the cries of the world, because when we hear the cries of the world and act on them, then we can bring peace and love into the world. So, I'm going to close now with one final piece of music, and this is one that um, is focused on the benevolent revolution that I think is happening, a revolution of kindness or evolution of kindness. And we just call this one the benediction of light. So I'll just close with the benediction of light, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Barbara. So again, much love to all of you, and thanks for being the mother energy of kindness and compassion and unfolding the receptivity, taking time every day to listen in silence and connect with the truth that we are, and to send love into the world and to hear the cries of the world. As we do that, we can become the hands that can bring blessings to others. Enjoy. This is benediction of light.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you, Will.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
I am thinking that that was your closing song, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Beautiful. Benediction of Light, closing song. Just a few announcements, and then we'll have a short chat afterwards. So, announcements, future talks. There'll be two at church services. Next week, it will be the feminine face of God, and that's our potluck. Bring something to share at our monthly potluck at church. And then on the final Sunday, on the 25th, annual Memorial Day service. And that's where we celebrate the loved ones who have passed. And Patricia has a wonderful service that we'll do on that day. So please join us as we honor all those who have passed. And then a reminder just about donations, greatly appreciated. And just mail to Unity, P.O. Box 755, Lower Lake, California, 95457. Box 755, Lower Lake, 95457. And so we thank Dr. Tuttle for a wonderful, wonderful service. Yes, let's see, all my notes as usual. And yes, and we'll stay for a few minutes of chat time. And then, yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye bye. So I'm unmute, of course. And yeah, and so you, sometimes